Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Blood, Sweat, and Fears podcast. We are struggling with a little bit of a heat wave right now, but I'm just going to give some holiday advice for anybody who feels like traveling abroad. Do not take advice from a handsy Dutch businessman about a really great hostel to go and stay in, or go in a submarine with Titanic billionaires. Let's... I don't know where I was going with that, but hello, Alan. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling very grateful to have my Achilles tendons. Should I clear up the things from the last episode now?
Oh yeah, we got some comments, and
all of our comments so far have been about my diabetes. To be clear, I'm not ignoring it. When I say I was trying not to think about it, I meant that I was trying to focus on being healthy so that I won't die. I'm sorry your mum died, or if you have the same relationship with her that I did with my mum, I'm very happy for you. But I'm doing well, thank you. Second thing, I said the F slur last episode and I forgot to mention I am one, so it's okay. Fag out.
Woo! And we've got an incredible guest to join us today to talk about Hostel. He's part of Jamaica Street, a very funny comedian and a lovely boy. Please welcome to the show, Pierce Higgins.
Yay. Thank you for having me, boys. Pleasure to be here.
Oh, Pierce, it's fucking great to have you here. And I love that already, like in our first 3 episodes, we've done a little bit of the fantasy stuff. We've done a little bit of like the sort of conspiracy stuff. Now we're just going full on realism, graphic gore, horror. This is the first time that we've done a episode where this is the first time I've seen the movie. So
wait, you have watched it before?
No, I'd never seen Hostel before. I constantly heard about it in school and that though, but it always seemed like something I didn't think that I would enjoy, or I'd have to be in the right mindset to watch it, and then by the time you've thought about it, you're just sticking something else on for a little bit of comfort, like Final Destination or whatever. But I am glad to have seen it because I'm a big fan of Eli Roth. You see him on like documentaries and stuff with horror, and you can tell the guy really loves the genre. What he also loves is shocking his audience the most he can. Like, did any of you see that Green Inferno thing that came out?
Nope.
Aye. Green Inferno, Cabin Fever. Aye.
And he, there's a weird blunder in his career, actually. That house with a clock in its walls. It's like Eli Roth doing a family film.
Oh, right. I've never seen that.
It's like the most bizarre thing I've ever seen him do. It's like watching Quentin Tarantino direct like Monsters Inc. or something. Who's also a producer on this movie as well. So, Pierce, what made you want to pick Hostel?
Yeah, why Hostel? What's wrong with you?
Oh, no. I know. This film changed me from a boy to a man. It was, what do you call it, my pal in work, basically. The reason I started getting into horror movies, I wasn't really into them until I was about 17, 18. I started working at Curry's PC World. That's where it all began.
I've actually seen your photo at the Curry's PC World. It's very handsome.
Wow, thank you very much. Cheers. And just getting paid with compliments. Podcast. But my pal in work, who's those work pals, they're I'm 21, but he's 56.
Aye.
He just gives me DVDs. It's like my homework every single week, and basically I went for a period where I watched about 20 horror movies and then hooked. But the reason I picked Hostel is because he gave me Hostel 2 days before I went my first holiday with my girlfriend to Amsterdam. And that's where they get the idea to go to Slovakia from Amsterdam.
Yeah, I actually did some reading into this. The Slovakian and the Czech government were not very happy with this movie.
No, they weren't. The Slovakian government had to put out a disclaimer to basically the public saying that this movie doesn't represent our country and it's still a safe place to come to. You won't get chopped up to bits in the bottom of a warehouse.
Can you imagine if they did that for Dog Soldiers or something, which is set in Scotland? You will not turn into a werewolf if you come to this.
If you come to the Highlands, it'll be fine,
The first film, we had the fear of dreams, and the second film we had the fear of death, and now we have the fear of the worst thing of all, Eastern Europeans. Sorry, Silas.
They're at it. Throughout history, they've been at it.
Silas Sabox, man, fuck you.
Sabox.
Friend of the show who will come on at some point. Actually, we'll get him for Hostel Part 3.
Oh, terrible.
What's
The
that?
third part sounded fucking terrible.
Oh yeah,
it's not. It's like The Godfathers. Like, first two are all right. The third one is just you don't really need to see.
Yeah, I haven't seen the second one of this, but like whenever you release a part 3 and it's not the same director and it's straight to DVD, I'm always frightened.
Nah.
Like, they do that with I Know What You Did Last Summer as well. So it's like, I know what you did last summer. I still know what you did last summer, and then I'll always know what you did last summer.
I've not forgotten.
I can't wait for the reboot. I won't forget what you did last summer.
What did you do last summer again? The dementia special.
I love that joke where it's like when you look up on Google the symptoms of Alzheimer's and all the links are already purple.
This is also, it's an interesting one for me because in Nightmare on Elm Street, you've got a set of pretty likable teenagers. Same in Final Destination to a lesser degree. Carter is always a dick. These guys are so unlikable.
Yeah, I was thinking the film maybe wanted us to want them to get tortured.
Yeah, I thought that too, but then when it was happening, I was like, oh fuck, I don't actually want to see them get tortured.
Well, that was I was listening to they do a DVD commentary with Eli Roth and Quentin Tarantino, and they're talking about basically the first scene where it's like they're basically washing a torture room. Eli Roth didn't even want to put that in. He wanted to just start the film with them like in Amsterdam, but if people basically like I think the studio pressured them, like, it's a horror movie, you need to kind of stick to some dynamics. So he just put that little montage in at the start, but didn't show anything. But I think it was interesting when I was listening to it that what they'd done was, I can't remember if it's called like the Psycho Switch or something, because the main guy with like the long blonde hair, he was
Jake,
he was meant to be it's like Ollie, Jake, and then Paxton, but Jake's meant to be the main character because it's kind of shown from his perspective. You know, the other two guys are pretty mental, but then he ends up just getting killed off.
Yeah, that did shock me. Actually.
So yeah, that's what they talked about. It was like to try and make the audience feel helpless. So it was like the main character, bang, he's dead. Now you've just got this side character of Paxton, and you're like, well, we didn't even know what this guy's all about. So what the fuck's he gonna get up to? And it makes it really interesting, you know, in the later scenes of the film for me.
Yeah, because there was also a thing that I saw where I think Jake, his name was, right. There's theories around him. Is he meant to be like sort of a closeted guy?
Yeah.
Because like anytime they're going on, because it's like, I mean, to not avoid the language here, but these are very lads, mids 2006. Let's go and fuck as many girls as we can. And you can tell Jake's kind of not really into it.
Yeah.
And then when that Dutch businessman guy like touches his leg on the train, it's the most no homo scene I've seen in a horror film in fucking ages.
I knew that was going to come up again, and my notes I just wrote Chekhov's homosexual. And I was right. It came back.
It's come back, man.
And they did say that, and it was like because a lot of the language, like had like the the F word that you guys are allowed to say, but I'm not. But like they had a lot of that language in it. But like
we can say froob as much as we like.
A lot of frutella shouts in that film. But it was basically because across. Is it Josh? Josh. Yeah, Josh. Sorry,
I knew it was like a pure like chatty 2000s name.
Josh. Yeah, with him being a closeted homosexual, because you see that scene in the brothel where like he walks in the room and then she, like there's this really nice looking lady, and she just undresses, and then when she turns around, he's just gone. You know.
That happened to my pal's granny. She walked in on her son banging his girlfriend. He was like, "Hall, £5 for a peep." No, in his bedroom. She's like, "Hall, £5 for a peep show." With the list.
Fucking hell.
But how common is it for like lads to kind of go on holiday and like just kind of like spit roast someone and like high five? Is that a thing?
I don't know. I've never been on a lad's holiday. Maybe that's why. Like,
I went to Amsterdam with my girlfriend, so I wasn't allowed to look at the windows. So like, I've never bit either.
Shout out Rosa.
Rosa.
Rosa, if in law class you want to talk to me, you don't have to text Pierce in the group chat. You can just come and say hello.
Don't talk to him, Rosa. Don't talk to him. He'll scare you.
I will say for context, Pierce's girlfriend is in my law class, and at one point during a class texts Pierce and says, "That autistic comedian is in my law class," which you could be describing 90% of the Scottish comedy scene there, but in this case it was me. Rosa, you can just come and say hi. I won't bite. I'm not called the Glasgow Kid anymore. It's safe.
Just want to put out there a disclaimer. She had seen Dean's set. It wasn't just, it wasn't half her own back, just looking at Dean, But, yeah.
You've given up that name. We're calling Pierce the Glasgow Cake.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what it's all about,
What is your favourite type of cake, actually, Pierce?
The gay cake.
The gay cake. Exactly.
That's just a fairy one.
Multicoloured sprinkles. No, I used to really like chocolate fudge cake, but now I'm actually, I've made my way in the world. I've made my money. Now I'm a solid. I like a bit of cheesecake. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Cheesecake. I'm fancy like that now.
Like when you don't wash under your foreskin.
Yeah. That's the Michelin star secrets they don't tell you about. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I'm never getting a New York cheesecake from the shop again, lads.
See a guy scratching his balls in the back.
Oh. I do like the way that so Ollie is just someone that they meet on the holiday, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Right? And then, well, obviously, like, full spoilers, he does die later on, and then the photo they send are just like his decapitated head, which just says, "I go home."
I always found that I found that interesting as well, because you see his like decapitated face, but no facial gesture, and then they send a second photo with the other Japanese tourists beside each other, just looking at you like that. Surely they must have thought something was up.
Yeah, Snapchat filters were not a thing back then. Aye. You couldn't have Instagram layers on the photos to make it look a little bit more bright and cheerful. There was no duck emojis from Ollie, sadly.
Just no brush-ups, just snake on their phone.
That first scene with the Japanese girl getting tortured, I thought that was a really smart edit, because like he goes from like taking pliers to like cut her toe off, and then immediately cuts to like a woman cutting her toenails.
Yeah.
Tarantino's influence, man.
I do love stuff like that. I mind there's a similar thing to that in Kong Skull Island, where it's like you see a guy falling into King Kong's mouth, and then it immediately cuts to a guy eating a sandwich.
Oh, where was the Oscar for best editing?
I don't think this movie got nominated for it, but
yeah, this one, man, edgy as fuck.
Yeah, like, very much.
It feels like it's trying very hard, but at the same time, I actually kind of ended up enjoying it for that.
Well, it comes in that sort of like. So I find this really interesting about this period of horror in the 2000s. This is post Saw, and Saw for all like first Saw is a really great like sort of noir mystery thriller that has some of like the torture stuff in it, but it gets known now for like the torture stuff because of the sequels, and I feel like Hostel is kind of like Eli Roth half capitalizing that and then half sort of going back to the 60s and the 70s exploitation horrors of like that were full on fucking like graphic and gory with practical effects and everything like that.
It was much less graphic than I thought it would be.
Yeah,
so I noticed it was like 40 odd minutes before we even get to like a proper torture scene.
But that I think that's what they tried to do with the film. It was to try and build a story, before it to try and make that, because in some horrors you do see it's just like go right from the get go, and then characters haven't really been developed.
You get that a lot in like movies that are trying to be like this.
Yeah, but I really I enjoyed Hostel, and it's one of my favourite horror movies, mainly because near the later scenes, when he's escaping, I felt as if everything that he was doing, I would probably have done as well. And like all like horror, like like in a Jeepers Creepers, you're like nobody's ever turning back.
Just as long as you're not doing what the director of Jeepers Creepers is doing, then.
Well, but I
believe you have a bit about that. You fucked your last kid, kitty fucker.
You fucked your last kid, kitty fucker.
Say that to Victor Salva, the fucking beast.
I need to be careful with my Sean Connery accent, man. It will not work out when I ask someone to sit on my face.
Shit on my face.
Shit on my face. No, please.
Give her a little slap. Shit on my face.
Oh yeah, he was pro hitting women.
Aye, no, well, not pro hit, just a little slap.
Just a little slap.
Just to give him a little slap.
I should say, for legal reasons, we do not endorse the actions of Sean Connery as James Bond or otherwise
Yeah.
on the spot. However, we will happily watch a movie about torturing people over in Slovakia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, because, you know,
Yeah, it's fun.
well, you go on a Friday night, you know.
There is one element of this that's so I stay in hostels quite a lot when I'm traveling for comedy. I've never seen receptionists being this welcoming. You know, that kind of like unsettling feeling of welcome that you get from some places. You never get that in like British hostels. So a UK remake of this would be shit.
Aye.
Well, in Glasgow we have the Rennie Mackintosh Hotel. If you want that experience, I think that's pretty similar.
Well, I mean, that's something to look out for now. Next time you go to a hostel, they're very, very, you know, polite at the front desk. There's somebody getting chainsawed downstairs. That is so.
The interesting thing was when this started, I was like, this is such like a, I don't want to sound like that woman who's like, that's why I hate video games, because it appeals to the male fantasy. But it is very male fantasy, like
It's
you can
very
go about and do
much
that.
male
And then the
fantasy.
women are like, oh, hi there, do you want to touch our breasts? It's like, really? These women are like not repulsed by these guys, but then the kind of twist is that actually they're doing this deliberately to kind of pull them into this trap. I thought that was pretty clever.
It does also feed into that sort of, I've seen this on Twitter a lot, where it's like called the writer's barely disguised fetish.
Quentin.
Aye. Like, I would have hated to have been a casting director on Hostel, you know. Having to see hundreds of naked women, you know, to try and pick them for the part. Terrible.
There was a lot of them, wasn't there? Like 6 minutes into this film, a guy says, I hope bestiality is legal in, where were they? Amsterdam? Because that
Slovakia
woman's
or
a
something.
hog.
Oh, fuck, I just remembered that.
Yeah.
Because this was one of the movies where I started watching it like 2 weeks ago when we booked Pierce as a guest, and then 40 minutes in I had to just switch it off and just like decompress, be like, okay, I'll come back to this later. And then watch the rest of it, like where it was just full on like amusement haunted house of torture, and it just does not stop.
Oh, it's scary. It's supposedly Eli Roth, that was based on a true fact, that he had an Icelandic pal that they went to a club and he started like shagging a bird in the toilet and like taking photos and texting them at the same time. So that
On
was
a flip phone as well. How retro.
on a flip phone. I know. You're like, I'm gonna click your phone about 1,000 times to get a sentence.
Well, that's probably why they couldn't do this movie now, because there'd be someone trying to just get the flash and the HD right.
There's a quote in this film where someone says, you know, not everyone wants to kill Americans, and what a throwback, because times have changed. But that's okay, because they're just killing themselves at this point.
Oh yeah.
All right, cut that out. That wasn't
via
funny.
submarine expedition. That's terrible.
Oh man. So Alan, had you seen this movie before?
No.
I'm glad I enlightened you both to the
this
works
is
of
it.
Hostel.
When I was young, I fucking loved this kind of stuff. I went to see the Saw films in the cinema because I was like all about that gross stuff. But I feel like as I've got older and my joints have started to hurt, I've developed a bit of empathy. Like seeing someone get...
You can't watch the scene with the toenail.
Yeah, like seeing someone get a drill through the knee, it's like, I know what that feels like.
Seeing somebody's Achilles getting slit in half, it's like, my calf's killing me by now.
I mean, that's hard for me to watch anyway. Like, I mean, there's a killing child's play like that where Chucky just slashes a doctor's Achilles tendon with a scalpel.
It's
And even as like a 12-year-old watching that movie, which I definitely should not have been doing, I was just like, ugh.
I think it makes everybody that something about that tendon, you know, in the back of your leg, just going, oh.
Because there was one time, do you mind those doors? I don't know if they have them in like houses now, but where they'd have like this pure like metal bit at the end of a door. It's like sort of a spiky little thing at like the bottom of a door. So one time when I was
Getting
young,
into Dean's childhood.
yeah, I was staying at my granny's house over the summer, right? I'm standing by the door just like playing outside, and then my brother just swings it open and that sharp metal just goes by my ankle. Oh, and anytime I see like an Achilles tendon getting sliced, it just brings me back to that moment of my childhood.
Yeah, I feel like having something actually done to you kind of makes it harder to watch in a horror film. Like, I always like dental stuff really hard because we'd be in a dentist chair when anything could go wrong.
Oh,
like eye stuff used to be fine, so I thought
I'll give you a little bit of a warning for when we do Final Destination 2 then.
Why?
There is a dental related scene.
Like eye stuff used to be fine. Then like I can't remember if I said this last time, but I got like my eyes numbed, and she's like coming up to me with this big handle with a spiky point, and she's like, "Okay, so I just have to touch your eye with this. Don't move it because it might scratch your eye." And I'm like, "What the fuck,
Jesus!"
And like, yeah, so now eye stuff just freaks me out. So yeah.
Final Destination 5 warning for that as well.
I mean, there's an eye scene in this. It's fucking.
We will get onto that, man. Paul, you said you saw this in the cinema when it came out as well?
Sorry, my mic wasn't on though.
Oh, that's
aye, man. I went to see it in the cinema. I'm old as fuck.
Because can you mind like what the reaction was in the theater to something like this? Because I feel like this would really shock a theater in the mid 2000s.
Aye, it was proper like people gasping, you know, clutching their pearls.
Aye.
But no, people were like out loud, like, "Oh my god," you know, fucking horrific.
Cause the only time that's ever happened to me in a horror film when I've seen it in the theater has been Hereditary, where it cuts to the scene where the little girl's been decapitated.
Oh yeah.
There was just all these old ladies in the row in front of me who just all audibly gasped.
Aye.
I didn't even notice that happened in Hereditary. I thought she just like banged her head. I was like, what the fuck did I miss? And then her head's just lying on the road. Hereditary, you love it so much you lose your head over it.
That is a movie we will cover on this. That would be like, can you imagine like what an elevated horror version of Hostel would be?
Oh, mate, but I mean, like that's what I like about Hostel as well is that like in some like slashers or like gore fests and that, it's like sometimes they don't develop the story and it's just kind of like a manic person just like going on a killing spree. Whereas like see the acting and like the scene where that Paxton finally gets put in the chair, the guy walks in and he's just ready to kill him, and you can see how happy he is. He's like tingling with like pleasure, just ready to kill him. And then that Paxton pleads to stop, but then the guy was like speaking a different language. I don't know exactly what language
Paxton was saying something in German to him.
Was it German? Was it German? Oh, and he speaks to him in his native language, and it ruins it for him because he's like, oh, no, it's like I paid for an American. I want an American. So then they go and get the gag. So then he pulls up the chainsaw. He's about to kill him again, but then the fear for Paxton makes him like whitey, but then it's actually him choking on his own whitey.
So the ball gag.
Aye, with the ball gag, and that's him choking on his own whitey. So that's why he takes it off because he's like, no, I don't want the pleasure getting taken away from me again by you killing yourself, by waiting, by like suffocating in your own whitey. And that for me was like, oh, that like to get into it, because sometimes you like if you watch a movie, it's easier to get over like just going, oh well, they're just a nutcase. Do you know what I mean? That's just a manic movie character. But then just seeing somebody like,
it's like it gives it like that proper true crime kind of feel, I think.
Yeah.
It does feel like you're watching almost like a dramatization of a documentary with like these kind of films.
Because you're not saying that this happens, but the reason it's scary is that it could easily like you could.
It does. It's terrifying.
You can kind of link it to comedy as well. So like a lot of times movies like this will just get called like shock horror, and like that's all it is. But there is, I do get what people are saying when they don't want to watch movies like this, because it is kind of shock value and like the whole fear of it. But that's what it's meant to be there to do. There's a lot of similarities between comedy and horror for that. Like, so with horror, you're supposed to like be feared of something. And to be fair, I was legitimately horrified of this. And I think you can link it to comedy, where people are sometimes using like jokes that are a little bit darker, and people will always focus on the dark element rather than what's the story actually saying. To be fair, I don't know what Hostel is saying, but I'm sure with like some media literacy and like looking up some stuff after this, I could learn to appreciate it like as like a sort of time setting of this mid 2000s like gore fest.
It's like, why is any horror movie ever made? It's to make you feel something, you know. It's not meant to be nice. It's to be meant to take your mind to like a place that you hadn't thought of, and to like, to scare you, really, to like get the butterflies in your stomach. And that's why people like to turn around and say like, oh, I don't watch horrors for that reason. You're like, well, that's the full reason that you watch horror. You don't watch like I don't watch a horror movie looking for an Oscar-worthy performance.
Nah, not at all. Like I actually, and this will go out in a clip, and I might get shit for this, but I would say I would happily let kids watch horror films with their parents, because I feel like watching a horror film, it's sort of like a safe way to experience fear. Because I've seen like some people who like refuse to watch horror stuff growing up, and like see when they get into the real world and they see some proper scary shit, they're not prepared for it. So I feel like horror is like a nice way to sort of introduce that. I don't know if I would show a young kid this movie, but like if you're a parent and you have kids and you just want to watch it and you can turn it off at any time if they're a little bit too frightened, explain that it's not real. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
If you have triplets, maybe don't show them the human centipede.
Or we'll just be arguing with each other. No, I'd be at the front. I'd be at the front.
Well, if it was you, Pierce, I'd want to be on the back.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah.
It's,
Maybe not, actually.
Pierce does have a beautiful cake.
but I do like Mexican food.
Oh, man.
So, aye.
Let's stop objectifying the 21-year-old before I start to feel like I'm on this morning.
So,
Don't worry, we met when I was of age. It's fine.
Good. But, one thing I learned from this film, and after my story last time about being tied to a chair, this is giving away a lot about me. I did not expect to learn that I've been using a ball gag wrong this whole time. I thought I just had a really fat head. Like I didn't know it was going to go like around the neck.
oh man.
So there we go. That's going to save me a sore
You've been
lip.
doing it like the back of the crown.
No, I thought it went like round the back that way. I didn't think you could put it round the neck like that. So there you go. You learn something new every day.
How to use a ball gag with Alan Jay.
Well, no, I just learned how to use a ball gag with Hostel. There you go.
That's why I recommended it. There's so much to learn.
See if we're ever gigging together like down south, Alan, and we're staying in a hostel. Please don't bring a ball gag.
Yeah, fine.
If
No
we are,
fun.
if we're ever staying, please do.
I was like, the stuff with Paxton, I think, probably horrifies me the most because I looked up actually what he said in German to the guy, and it was something like, because they don't show it in subtitles in the film, it was something like, if you kill me, like, you'll see my face forever in your dreams or some shit. But I feel like with this German dude, that's kind of what he wants.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, and it's like because some of the other people that are doing the torturing, it was I think they alluded to the fact that he'd done this before because he took a clip of his hair. He took like a sample as like a memento. Do you know what I mean? So he's done this before, and like that full elitist club are like, it's just it's quite terrifying. It's like that, but Billy, like fucking Epstein, man, like got all that money.
Yeah.
What else can you do? You know.
I love what Eli Roth actually said in response to like the Slovakian government not liking this. Is like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre hasn't stopped people visiting Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everything else has stopped them from visiting.
Not a fan of barbecue, is Alan Jay.
I know, but like it's the same with like all films. Like if you show if the child is like, if you're a well-minded person, then you're not going to go out and go on a killing spree. Whereas if you've got maybe some frontal lobe damage or like some things wrong neurologically, then maybe you could be more prone to doing things anyway. But I mean, there's like people that haven't seen horror that still go out and murder folks. So
just like you see that a lot actually in some like recent horror. Like it's mostly because it's like a plot twist villain, but it's like, oh, the sweet old granny or the sweet old priest was the killer the whole time. Thank you, Black Mirror. Okay.
aye, it's there's good revenge in this film, but
the Paxton getting his revenge is class. See, we're jumping a little bit ahead, but I'm going to already put ahead for my favorite kill for this is. It's almost not even done by Paxton, but it's like he's like fighting the doctor and he throws the chainsaw up and then the chainsaw just comes and slices his neck.
Unbelievable,
I love it. What a great kill.
Unbelievable. I slips because the guy runs at Paxton, he slips on the blood that he's already pulled at him because he's maimed his hand, slips on it.
Was that, did he not slip on the ball gag? Or was it his fingers? I think he tripped over his fingers.
Did he slip his fingers? It's definitely because he was behind him. Might be his fingers.
Yeah.
He just slipped on it and it's went right through him. And then he's managed to get to the gun. Also get a good bit in that scene as well where Paxton shouts in German, I think, or like another language for the guard to come in and just shoots him. Anyway, it's like those things that are like realism. It's not like like you see in horror movies where they've got a fully loaded gun and they shoot somebody and they go and throw it at their hands and run away with no weapons at all. And you're like, what are you doing? It's like, hold the gun, keep the gun. Oh, you're running, have the gun.
It would have been easier to make like Josh the protagonist because you already somewhat root for him, but Paxton in the beginning is someone that you don't root for because he's like the most laddiest and dickiest of all of them.
He's a bit of a dick, yeah.
But then when you see that happening to him, it's like, for me, like part of myself was like, okay, I kind of want to see this guy. And he's just probably some dude who's just in a bit over his head and has completely fucked it. And you almost see like the sort of innocence behind his eyes, like the pure fear there.
I quite like this. It felt like a redemption arc, I suppose, from being like a total asshole, and then like he goes back for Kana once he hears her screaming as well.
Yeah.
Although on that with the redemption arc, I don't know what ending you guys got of this, because I know there's 2 endings, but I got the one where he kidnaps the Dutch dude's daughter.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you got... Oh, right. Oh, no, I got the one where he...
Yeah, I got the one where he just kills the guy in the toilet.
Kills him in the toilet.
Yeah, so like there's 2 different endings to this. Like the Dutch businessman obviously is revealed that he's like, is he like the owner of this thing or like heavily involved in it?
He's like the star or something like.
Yeah, I don't know who the actor is. It looked like Stellan Skarsgård, but it probably isn't.
No, it isn't. They talked about that, and basically the actor, he wasn't in a lot of movies. He was just a theatre actor, but they wanted someone. They said it was I think who's him that's in Rutger Hauer. I think they wanted Rutger Hauer to play.
He would have been fucking class in this.
To play him, but the reason that they said no is because they wanted someone like from there.
Right.
They wanted someone like European who wasn't well known, so that it just makes a separate entity and it makes it quite scary. Instead of seeing an A-list actor who's then playing another part. Do you
Imagine
know what
if it was Dolph Lundgren, he's just like, if they die, they die.
Dolph Lundgren would just be ripping folk apart without any fucking chainsaws.
Because I always get Dolph Lundgren and Rutger Hauer mixed up. It's like, oh no, one's in Blade Runner, one's in Rocky.
Right.
Apparently the guy didn't know a word of English, so he had to learn his lines phonetically.
Yeah, I like seeing stuff like that. Like when you see like that happened to Scott Pilgrim as well. The people who play the Katanagi twins didn't speak a word of English, so they, for their fight with Scott Pilgrim, they just made it a pure like physical battle. And it's actually better than it is in the comic book. Yeah, that's adaptation stuff that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
When it comes to the deaths in this, like I like for the last 2 films I wrote them down as they happened. Then I was so horrified I forgot to write them until like the last 15 minutes. So I like until there was 15 minutes to go. So I've actually forgotten a lot of the deaths. Apart from like those cunts getting run over by the car.
That was hilarious.
Great.
Kana catching the train, and I just wrote Chekhov's homo again.
See, I don't know what's more horrifying actually. Like him getting killed in the toilet, that's kind of what you'd expect for a revenge death, but him just screaming for his daughter after she's been kidnapped by Paxton as revenge, just it leaves this really like bitter feeling in you after it.
Do we know if there's an official ending?
It was an alternate ending, I think, but they might have, because I might have watched the unrated version of this.
I think the official ending was where he killed him, because like they thought that him stealing the daughter was quite uncouth. Like
that is quite upsetting.
Yeah, it's like him killing him for all his actions makes you like, you go, okay, that's great, that guy's out of the world now, but him stealing his daughter, the daughter didn't really do anything.
Yeah, but also you can see in his face like, oh shit, now he feels helpless, like completely, utterly helpless, and like that's what he's made all those people feel like.
But I was thinking about that. Sure, if your daughter gets stole and you were already a mad killer, you'd just be more angry. Like you'd be like, my daughter's gone, or do you think you would just stop it?
No idea. I mean, you've seen Hostel Part 2. I don't know if they pick that up later on.
Oh no, it's this different. Well, Hostel 2, Paxton's, they find him basically. Right. So it's like it. I think that was a big fuck you to the audience from like Eli Roth, where it's like Paxton doesn't get, like he gets away safe, but when people in that level of power, they're going to find you if they want to find you. It's like you've escaped Slovakia with seeing all that. It's like they're going to find you. So basically his girlfriend walks into the flat that they've got together, and his head is decapitated and the cat's like eating out his open neck.
I go home.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw a clip of that, but the cat's just licking his his neck, not his dick.
So what was it? The Elite Hunters Club, and they've all got the tattoos of the bloodhounds on all the murderers.
I do enjoy that. So I think we'll get onto probably like the most horrific part of this. Like, so leading up to it, I love really tense scenes like this. It's proper like Texas Chainsaw Massacre style, when Paxton is hiding himself amongst a bunch of severed body parts, and he's just trying so hard not to move. Fucking fair fucks to the guy. Like, I wouldn't be able to fucking do that. I know it's probably fake body parts. Who knows? It's Eli Roth. We don't know.
Probably fake. Probably fake.
Well, it's Eli Roth. We don't know.
Eli Roth killed 10 Slovakians for the film and dismembered them.
Well, this is a guy who basically remade Cannibal Holocaust, which we will eventually cover, maybe as like way a bit down the line, but it did have quite a bit of controversy for presumably killing people during the production.
In Poltergeist, they used real skeletons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So like that scene like reminded me of something like out of Texas Chainsaw. Like imagine like trying to escape from Leatherface, like just as like if you make like one sound, this big cunt with a fucking sledgehammer and a chainsaw's coming after you.
It's also like even again into like the the psychology behind like those people. It's like that's that guy's job. I'm pretty sure he was just smoking a fag. No, sorry, smoking a cigarette. You know, when he's shooting Alan. No, but hack joke, cut that. No, but he's just and then just goes back to cutting up bodies. So he's like he's finished his break and he's like, oh, I need to go back and
I tell you,
chop up bodies.
I had some hard time being the kitchen porter at Weatherspoons, but I would actually no. I'd rather take that over that guy's job. And then the part that's really unsettling for me is when he runs into the other guy who's clearly ordered somebody, and they think he's like part of the club, and his enthusiasm just for like, oh, I've got myself an American or this or whatever. How much money did you pay? It's just fucking unsettling. That unsettled me more than any of the gory torture scenes in this.
Great performance by Rick Hoffman, who plays Louis Litt on Suits. He's like, he's so ecstatic, isn't he? And like he's like, yeah, what does it feel like? And he starts asking him, how did you do it? How should I do it? Should I make it slow or should I make it fast? Or like how did you do it? And then he goes like, yeah, oh make it fast. He's like, yeah, fast. No, fuck that. I've paid all my money. I'm gonna do what I want. I'll go old school. And he goes, there's my tattoo. He goes, let me see yours. And it was just out of like a universal coincidence that someone shouts like your time's ready, and he doesn't actually see the tattoo. So Paxton could have got killed right there and then, like if he lifted up his arm and didn't have the tattoo. Also, he's missing half a hand throughout the entire thing, so the adrenaline's just taking him through everything. He's good.
And fair play to Eli Roth, because that's actually like that's two really good suspenseful scenes that he's done there. Whereas I imagine a director who just wants to get in and shock people wouldn't have that kind of subtlety with the filmmaking.
Yeah.
So there's another quote from that scene I wrote down, which I loved. I just fucked a girl 2 days ago. I don't even remember the colour of her tits.
Well,
Shakespearean.
Yeah.
they'll all be blue once those people are done.
Not the blue tits.
Fucking hate bird watching.
What do you think the most horrific injury was?
Oh, I think we'll probably get right. We teased it a little bit at the end. Definitely the lassie's eye.
Yeah, I thought that just looked a bit silly.
But it looked a bit silly, but like imagining how it would actually feel like. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And even that moment where he's had to cut it.
Why did he think that would help? Like, I'm not a doctor, but like, would that help?
I don't
Daniel, this is where we need you.
Yeah, we had Petrie on the scene. If you were blowtorching Holmes' eye. No, but I think it was, I don't know, like maybe the nerves of like the eyeball hanging out, and then every time she walked, the momentum of like the eyeball hanging on your
droopy,
hanging instead, and then just one cut, and then it's not really there, and then I don't know, all the pus coming out maybe relieve some pressure, but yeah, a blowtorch to the face doesn't seem fun.
Yeah, and we'll get into a little new segment, which I'm gonna like little comments that I saw when I looked up this death separately on YouTube. She's got mustard in her eye.
Really? Mustard, is it? Oh, brilliant.
I don't know if it actually is mustard, but it does look like it.
American or Dijon? Those are the question. Answers we need to know.
As long as it's not English mustard, which tastes like fucking dog shit. Like,
yeah.
Anyone who's using English mustard as like a fucking condiment, you are a pedophile.
Blood, sweat, and feels against English mustard.
Oh man,
Dijon or whole grain, man. That's all you need.
You know, I forgot about the pus coming out her eye. That probably is the most horrific. And I was thinking about the Achilles tendons when he gets up and then it kind of falls.
He goes. He's like, "I'll leave if you want." Go.
Do you find the more kind of subtle stuff like that more horrifying than the like, you know, extreme stuff? Like, because I don't know if he's played Resident Evil 7, but at the start he kind of loses like the bottom of half his leg. And it just kind of looks really stupid, but just that the slight cut to the Achilles tendon, like that really fucking.
Anytime I
unnerves
see
me.
an Achilles tendon getting sliced, I always like.
Yeah, there's a really spoilers. Well, not really. I won't say the film, but the film before Old Boy, there's a scene where he drags him into the water and cuts his Achilles tendon, so he can't actually escape.
Oh wait,
That's fun.
oh wait, spoiler! I know what film you're talking
Yeah,
about.
Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. Spoilers.
What do you call it? It's I think what makes that really horrifying and like makes you go even more is because when he slits his Achilles tendon, you don't actually see, you just see the like the surgeon bend down and slit it and come back up, but you don't see him slit it, you just see him bend down, you hear it, and you hear Josh screaming, but it's the way that where he goes, if you want to leave, opens the door, walks out of frame, and you can see the hope in Josh's eyes and face, like, and it's just that I could actually get out of here, just try really hard, and he brings everything he can after just being drilled in the knee and like knives to the chest. He goes and tries to get up, and that's when you see the Achilles just separate, and you hear the screaming. You're like, like even think about it, but it's great.
And then seeing Josh sewn back together, and that's the first thing Paxton sees of his mate.
Yeah.
Aye, it's because it's the doctor, the surgeon, it's because he get told that because he had shaky hands, he couldn't be a surgeon,
Which seems fair.
But yeah, exactly, I know.
Doesn't need to have to worry about it when you're drilling someone's knee, like.
Aye, and that full speech on the train at the start where he's eating chicken or ham or something with his hands.
Salad with his hands.
Aye, Paxton goes, "You want a fork there, Chief?" And he's like, "Yeah, no, I like to eat." He's like, "Yeah, this animal died for me, so I'd like to eat it with my hands because it gives me a closer connection to the meat." And it's like, "Yeah, because it's died," and then it circles all the way back.
I would love to see someone try that at a Toby Carvery.
On a bit of gammon.
Ironically, a lot of gammons would be having English mustard. Oh man, that guy, I don't know what it is with like European doctors and horror films, but they all tend to be going for the sort of mad scientist trope.
Probably because of Nazi Germany.
Well, that brings me on to like a movie that we will cover eventually on this, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. This is one of the most, I think is like, I remember Eli Roth saying that he might have got influence from the villain of this movie for the Dutch guy in this. The guy, Dr. Caligari, who's the villain in that, was played by an actual Nazi. And it's like, it gives I know it's funny, but like it gives the movie like another level of unsettledness.
What? How did they get a Nazi?
It was made in like the 20s.
Oh, but it was. Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like made last week.
It was made like the 70s and they went like, searching in Argentina. Like, casting calls, Nazis, please come out. All right, aye.
Well, the 20s was before most of the bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I don't know. I'm probably showing my history ignorance.
I failed history class because I went to a school in Dubai where teaching a history class is not exactly the most progressive class you can take in a country like that. I'm pretty sure all of those people that took history ended up voting Tory.
Is anybody from Africa ever moved over here? Don't talk about it.
Can your film pass a diversity quota test if the only black guy is a clip from Pulp Fiction? I don't know if that counts.
I don't think so. No.
It was funny. Tarantino let them use that, and they said in the commentary that it made everybody laugh when he started speaking. Like in I don't know, do they speak Czech in Slovakia, and they all started laughing like American audiences, but then like the Slovakian and the Czech audiences watching it just went like that, like Pulp Fiction. Just speak normal.
If just a little side note here, if I'm dating a guy who's like into film and stuff, and I go back to his dorm and there's a Pulp Fiction poster, I see it as an immediate red flag.
Really? What, Pulp Fiction?
Yeah, because like guys who have a Pulp Fiction posters have probably not watched any other Tarantino films.
Well, so if he's got more than Pulp Fiction, then
if he's got Reservoir Dogs, I'll be like, yeah, there's something about this.
I've
fella.
got both. So
well, I know where I'm coming back after this recording. Then Pierce.
It's like, won't just be picking Rose up, Phil.
What else did I make? Oh, the fucking Wayans in this movie.
Oh yeah, they always look like they're about to burst into a musical, don't they?
Yeah, the street urchins. That was at Hop Along.
Were they like? I don't know if the movie confirms it. But like, are they in line with the Hunter people?
No, I don't think so.
Because they nick his phone, and like I thought that was because it's just so he can't call for help.
I think that was him just looking, because at the end, the Paxton stops in that motor, and they're always asking for like bubblegum, like money and change, and he turns around and sees a big bag like bubblegum that this guy had and stuff. So he gives him it and basically tells him throw rocks at the next motor that comes along. So that's by the way, and and then they come up and they block it, and the other guys, like the henchmen, like get out of the way, and then they just start. That's also a very funny scene because I didn't think that it would take it that far, because they throw big rocks down and like usually like it just hit the big baldy henchman in the head.
Oh yeah, those kids fucking just
mutilated them. Yeah, and then they just start, the Waynes are just bashing the heads in, like caving their skulls. You're like,
I'm starting to see why the Slovakian government didn't like this. It'd be quite hard to advertise your primary schools if this is the only movie that you've got representing.
If that's your kids, you could advertise low rates of paedophilia.
Or it was just like really, really good bubblegum. Like hubba bubba.
Thing is, look, he gets stopped by those kids. Would you have run them over? I thought he was going to run them over.
That's a good point. I probably would. They were all like 10, I like 12.
Let's just say I think there's a reason that in the video game Bully they don't let you drive a car.
Yeah. Aye, no, I know that scene where, but that scene's good as well, where he finally the van pulls away, and it's the two girls that have basically done them, and then the wee guy from Amsterdam, walks out as well. Then they all because they run them over. They run them over, and then the one in the middle, the main girl, the brunette, kind of gets back up, and then the second henchman car comes along and absolutely it just tears on half.
Another scene we can edit to the Benny Hill soundtrack. I did find the death of the Japanese girl a bit like, that was so upsetting to watch. Like she just looks in the mirror, sees what her face looks like, and then just throws herself in front of a fucking train.
Nothing about foundation won't fix. Like, I'm kind of like surprised that she's just walking about this place.
ScotRail should be waiting for fucking ages.
We're looking for a sponsor from Sephora. But no, like, I'm surprised she's walking about with like half her face melted off, and everyone's just like, business.
Especially when you know when the guy pulls away for the van before they meet the kids with a bubblegum, the guy goes like, all right, I'm leaving, and they're both sat in front of the car. Like Paxton's bleeding and she's got a face. He's like, fucking stop shouting at me.
Why didn't she play Two-Face in The Dark Knight? Like,
oh mate, she could have. But if she didn't jump in front of the train, Paxton isn't getting away.
Oh,
aye, fair shot.
He doesn't get it. Like, because they're all there, because all the police and all the guys are in cahoots, so they're all looking out and waiting for the escapees. So if she doesn't jump in front of the train, he's not sneaking onto that train.
Sorry, Paxman, I have a train to catch.
That's a little thing I love, like seeing movies or video games or stories when there's a train related thing and then the villain just says you've got a train to catch. It's something that just makes me really happy. That's why I love Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. Joey Diaz in it as well. You gotta go through me.
So, Alan, you got anything for true and false this week?
Yes, I do. So let's get started. Okay, first one. What? Oh, did you know that there's 3 cameos in this? Eli Roth himself. Everyone knows Quentin Tarantino's the like half naked guy in the window, but also,
of course he fucking is.
Wait, Quentin Tarantino's
you know how at the start when they get locked out of the hostel and they're screaming up and there's the topless guy out the window telling them to fuck off. That's Quentin Tarantino.
Oh shit, I didn't see that.
But the Japanese guy they meet dressed in black before he goes into like the kind of abandoned building, that's Takashi Miike, Japanese horror director, made Audition, Each of the Killer.
I still need to watch that movie. I've been told to watch it by so many people.
It's fucking mad. We'll cover it one time.
100%.
First one of the men in black was played by Tom Six, who would go on to direct The Human Centipede.
True.
False.
Yeah, that's bullshit. That's false.
You just love mentioning the Human Centipede on this podcast. Gotta mention it at least once.
Live fast, eat ass. Forever. The porno that the guard is watching is called Sex Fever, a porn parody of Eli Roth's Cabin Fever.
I feel like Eli Roth would do that. He's friends with like James Gunn and stuff. True.
Yeah, that one is true.
Nice.
Yeah.
At the Icelandic Film Festival, Eli Roth and Quentin Tarantino were made honorary Vikings.
I'm going to say false because Quentin Tarantino would definitely be bragging about that.
No, that's true. According to IMDb.
So where is the Quentin Tarantino Norse mythology movie? I want to see that.
4. The picture of the Dutch businessman's daughter is the real-life daughter of Eli Roth.
Yeah.
False.
Yeah, false. And finally, Tarantino's original cameo involved a scene where he was made to kiss Natalia's feet, but it was cut due to scheduling conflicts.
Surely that can't be true. Surely
If that's
that can't
true,
be.
then
I'm going to go true. Go in the big man.
Dean.
I'll say true. I want it to be true.
That one is false.
Oh, no, too good to be true. Too good to be true.
I reckon that opening scene is probably why Tarantino produced this.
Oh,
The
mate.
toenail.
Aye.
So
Man loves feet.
he does. I mean, we joke about it, but like I was watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood the other day, and like the amount of feet shots is ridiculous.
So does that. They're disgustingly dirty.
Aye.
Get your feet off the fucking headboard. What is wrong with you?
Get them off the fucking cinema seats, Margot Robbie. What the fuck are you?
I should our feet in a few of these films, man.
So, I mean, we've already mentioned like the German doctor is like my favorite death. Are there any other deaths you guys think deserve to be on the leaderboard for this?
I mean, Candace is pretty. It was pretty sad, actually, just seeing herself like that and then just deciding to end it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a pretty sad one. You don't really see Ollie get murdered.
Because it's not like a slasher where you're kind of like excited to see the deaths. These ones make you like look away.
There's a montage where when he's getting pulled through and you see like 6 or 7 different rooms and it's all different ways of getting murdered within like 5 seconds. That was but that's not really a big part. But I really like when that the brunette get hit with a motor the second time. Motor.
Funny.
So she was an actress, but the blonde girl wasn't. She was just a model. But they said they auditioned lots and lots and lots of women, and the brunette who played her was the scariest because she could just be like really, the way she laughs at them and stuff for being like stressed and angry and scared was just really, really good. And also we didn't touch on the bit as well that see when they walk in, it's like the deja vu thing that because he thinks he's checked out and he walks back into the room, it's 2 completely different girls and it's the exact same. They go, sorry, we're just going to the spa if you want to join us. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
I've dated girls before, surprisingly. I've never once been asked to a spa date. That's when I knew it was suspicious. Spa is like me time, I get that.
I've never been to a spa day.
You don't need to, you're handsome enough.
Oh,
Cheers.
Yes, I'm not really into women, but it must like see a film. Is it weird to see like a film where you're constantly going between like horny and horrified?
Oh yeah,
That must cause some weird emotions.
crazy. Yeah.
It's one of the craziest wanks I've ever had.
Pretty weird. Because they're like, they ain't dogs. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, nice looking ladies.
So would you recommend watching Hostel Part 2? Like from what I've heard, it's kind of just like a redo of the first one, but it's girls as the heroes.
Yeah.
I heard it's more of a comedy.
It's like girls is the hero. Girls is the main protagonists, and it kind of goes into a deeper depth of like what this elite. Like,
okay, that's good because I wanted to know more about them because like it's creepier that you don't know a lot about them in the first one, but if you're gonna do a sequel, explore that.
Exactly. But it's all very like it also scale like I've been to I went to Krakow not long ago and stuff, and it's that feeling where you are in another country and you don't know anybody there. Like I went with Rosa. And we went to the Jewish quarter at one point, and it's like really like Gothic buildings, and some of the buildings are like falling in and stuff from like war or whatever, and it's not really been changed. And we were standing there, and Rosin walks up to just this big map of like our surroundings and stuff, and she looks at it, and I turned around, and it was really quite cold at the time, and I just seen this guy like walk out of an alleyway, and then like just stare right at me, and we were the only 2 people in the entire square. And then just like stared at me and then like looked in the alleyway and then just walked back in. And that was a point where I just like kind of edged closer to Rosa and was like, let's go find a restaurant pronto, because you don't know what people are capable of. Like the guy just might have been looking at me, but you're in a different country. You don't know the language. You don't know which place is from what. And you know what? See, if you went missing, the authorities aren't really going to... You're just gone.
I lived in Cyprus for a year. I can confirm the law enforcement's exactly like that.
Did you live in Cyprus, right?
Yeah, for a year before I came back here, and after I moved from Dubai, I lived in Cyprus for a year, and it's like being on a permanent vacation, and in the worst way possible. You know, like, see, I don't know if you think this about like, going on holiday, but I can't stay in another like area for more than a week. Otherwise, I start getting like massively homesick and just like I just hate everything. Like Cyprus was like that for me. It's like, okay, what are we gonna do today? We're gonna wake up. We're gonna go on the pool. We're gonna walk in the heat. We're gonna try and survive the heat, and then just do it all the next day for another year. It was fucking. It's good in Christmas, but during the summer, it's an absolute nightmare.
Great news for child abductors. Move to Cyprus.
I know. I wouldn't imagine you as being one for routines, Dean. You know.
So, how many big pumpkins are we giving this out of 5?
Oh, fun fact. Sneeper is not what you call pussy in Icelandic. It's sneeporin. So
Sneeporing.
there you go. Yeah, they got it wrong.
That sounds like a technique of pouring a drink.
Also, fact about Iceland, their ponies haven't been. No other horse has been exported into Iceland in 1,000 years to keep the breed strong.
Oh, wow. They also do great frozen chips. Again, I'm just... I like looking back at my notes and
Pun
just
Master
seeing...
Flash.
I like looking at my notes and just seeing faggot ass elf. That is the best insult I've ever heard in a film.
Oh shit, yeah. Who gets called that again?
I don't know, just some weird guy with like long blonde hair.
Oh, it's in the nightclub.
Elf, yeah.
I never thought doing this pod would make me self-conscious.
There's also a scene where he sees the guy walking in Ollie's jacket and then he turns around and like he kind of smiles and you see his teeth are fucked up.
Oh,
that is Ollie's jacket, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't really.
I think so.
That is all. Yeah.
I love how like straight-faced he is. Though, he's like, "It is my jacket," and he just leaves.
Yeah, but then he smiles and like it's like weird how films like associate bad teeth with like badness because then Glasgow's a fucking cesspit of evil.
I've kind of got like vampire-esque teeth, so like they're kind of right.
Good feelings.
So you know the scene where he's choking the kid, but then his conscience kicks in.
Yeah.
Like, how long do you think you could choke a kid before that happened to you?
I have never, to be honest, Alan, the thought has never crossed my mind.
Yeah. But now that I think about it, no,
I don't think we'll see that as a sketch on Jamaica Street.
So, best death.
I definitely think the German doctor.
The German doctor, that's it's probably the German doctor at the end.
Fucking chainsaw falls on him.
Oh, the chains. Oh, actually, that, you know what? That might take the cake for me.
Oh, you know all about taking the cake.
Aye. And the only reason he runs back in for, what's her name again? The girl he saves,
Canna.
The only reason he runs back in for Canna is because he tells that story midway through the film about how he was on a beach. Paxton was on a beach when he was younger, and the little girl was drowning, and he ran over the lifeguard to say, "Oh, the girl's drowning." She was talking to somebody, and she couldn't see her any longer, so she thought he was kidding on. And then basically, when he turned around, the little girl, all he could hear was the screams of her mother. So that was quite a character development, but that story and the screams, and he said, I couldn't, he was like, for like 5 years, I had nightmares every night, just hearing that mum scream. And then that's when it comes all the way back round. And he can see the keys in the ignition, ready to he can drive away and be out of there. His hands maimed, he's been through all this, his pals are dead, he's in a country he doesn't know, but then he hears Canna screams and then just decides, fuck it, if I leave her now, then I'm going to continue to hear those screams.
It's impressive for characters that are not meant to be likable. Like Paxton has a remarkably good character arc in this.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect to be rooting for him. So I'm going to give Hostel, like, on that, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 big pumpkins.
Damn. I quite... A lot of people like shit talk films like this as just being nothing but kind of gore and exploitation, but it does have some really smart moments in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Before this, I was going to say 2, but I'm actually going to say 3 big pumpkins.
3 big pumpkins.
I'm so hard to please.
I'm gonna say 5 big pumpkins because it's the hardest I've ever been watching a horror movie. So there we go.
Yeah, I get hard watching Peter Bell do comedy every time. Well, I think that'll just about wrap us up. Pierce, thank you so much for joining us in our little madness over here. Got anything coming up, and where can we find you?
Well, no, thanks very much for having us, boys. And I'll be in under the bridge for Scene Dates. So like you can come buy things, sell things, do things. I'll be there.
Alan.
You know, as they say in Japanese, is that my face? Thanks. Alan Jay Comedy on socials. Dean.
You can find me at Dean T. Beirne, Beirne. And how is it pronounced, boys?
The Glasgow Kid.
Fuck you. And you can also find the pod at BS Fierce Pod on Twitter and Blood, Sweat and Fierce Pod on Instagram, TikTok. We started putting some clips and that up, so a like and share of those would be really appreciated if you like what
Stop
we're
giving
doing.
me diabetes advice. I've got it under fucking control.
Give him more, he's not listening.
Oh, can you imagine the advice we're going to get from putting clips out of this? There's a bunch of travel advice from people.
Get a grip.
Wear 2 fanny packs.
It's very obvious how you meant to use a ball gag, actually.
And of course, you got Jamaica Street with Lewis Reed, also a friend of the show. We'll definitely get him on at some point. Any plans to do any horror sketches?
Aye, we'll see.
I'd
what
love
we do
to see
after
one
this.
based on this.
Aye. Aye, come see us on Jamaica Street and lose brain cells by the second. You know, we're all having a grand old time.
Because I'm really enjoying the noir-based ones. Like, aside from being a very funny comedian, Pierce is also a really good actor.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. You know, what wonders a moustache can do to you, Tam Shepard's. You know what I mean?
Well, Tam Shepard's is where I bought that Ghostface costume, which I actually went on the End of Salsa dressed in to do a horror movie related bit. Didn't have the mask, just the robe. So it just,
You're like the KKK went to the cat house.
oh, just you wait until we end up doing Scream, because I'm coming in a full Ghostface costume. I think that'll about wrap us up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, like, share, subscribe, give us a follow, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts. I'm in Dean T. Beirne. That's Alan J. That's Pierce Higgins.
If we do get out, please don't come in blackface.
No, not happening. No, that is not happening. If we do get out, which we will do at some point, I will not be coming in blackface.
Okay, good.
But if you do, terrible.
Well.